What was it like getting that call? What was your mindset when Jerry calls you and says there's a opening as a head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, that actually happened March 24th, I believe. I don't think I forgot the date that he called me in 1994. And I remember that date because I had a colonoscopy that morning. And you have one of those, you don't forget them. And I was home and trying to sleep it off. I had that beset in me, and I didn't want to take any calls or anything. My girlfriend, I was single at the time, and I get a call, and she answers it, and it's Jerry Jones. Well, I tell her that I'll call Jerry back that afternoon. My relationship with Jerry, first of all, my relationship with Jerry was outstanding. I coached him at Arkansas, and Jimmy Johnson was there at the same time. We coached both of them. I was a young assistant coach at Arkansas from 1960 through 66. So I was, and that's the period of time that they were there in place. So all 4 years I was around them in the dorm, and got to know him pretty well. And then I hired Jimmy here at Oklahoma for 4 years as assistant coach. My first year as head coach, he was my defensive line coach, and he left here to go to Arkansas as defensive coordinator. That was in 1973. So I know him well. And Jerry came here in the 70s to make his first fortune in oil and gas business, and I socialized with him quite a bit, and we knew each other very well. And at that time, we were talking about when he called me, there had been a lot of negative publicity in the papers. And you could pick up the papers at that time after they had the NFL convention in Florida at the Breakers, I believe. And there were some negative stories come out of that. The press had overheard Jerry says, "I'll fire that son of a bitch and hire Barry Switzer tomorrow," or something like that. Yeah, I remember those statements. And people asked me, "You think he means that?" I said, "I don't know what Jerry." Yeah, Jerry's upset, but I think that he would actually turn to me because he's going to hire somebody he knows. You know what I mean? He's just throw a dart out there in the damn telephone book with a bunch of coaches in it and take that one. He had a short list of head coaches when he got the team, and so I felt that he probably would call me.
Yeah.
I found out later talking to him, he only had 2 coaches on there, and that was Jimmy and me. And he hired Jimmy first because Jimmy was coaching in Miami at that time, and I was out of coaching for a couple of years here in Norman, Oklahoma. So now he's calling me. He's firing Jimmy. All the national publicity is true. And there was a separation, and there's no love in Camelot. Everybody thought things was going great because he won 2 Super Bowls, but inside it wasn't that way. And so I get a call. I go that afternoon. I call Jerry back, and Jerry tells me that he would like to coach the Cowboys. And I remember I said, "Jerry, I didn't know the job was open." He says, "Well, it's going." I said, "It's going to be." And I said, "Well, call me when it is." And that's basically about what I said. And so the next day he calls, and he had made the decision to fire Jimmy. Norman, Oklahoma to Dallas, Texas is about a 2.5-hour drive. Yeah. I actually have driven to Valley Ranch in less than 2 hours. That's 2:00 in the morning doing 100 miles an hour. But it's you can get there pretty quick, and straight south of here over the Red River. And I went down, and we had the. I didn't get to see Jimmy. I was looking for both Jimmy. I said, "I want to talk to you and Jimmy together one night. Y'all screwed this damn thing up." And that was my question I had to ask. And I was the only one that came. I was a new guy. I was the only one that got off the bus. Jimmy left, and I inherited staff. I didn't know any of these guys. I knew one of them. I knew Joe Avezzano because he had been the head coach at Oregon State, and we had played them. And I'd known Joe from before that. He'd been to kind of the Big 8 conference, and I knew him, but I didn't know any of the other guys. So I had a job to find out some hidden agendas, and I had to do all the things that would allow me to have an opportunity to work with the staff, or they work with me, or I have to do something about it.
Yeah.
And it worked out all right. And Ernie Zampese, he was new there. I wouldn't spend a lot of time with him. He was the offensive coordinator. Hudson Houck, the offensive line coach. And we were all kind of new. They were new hires, but I didn't know them, but they didn't know me.
Yeah.
So it was a challenge. And most coaches in the NFL get to hire their own staff, bring their own people that they know they're going to be loyal to them. They know who they are, what they are. That's very important. And staff, unity in the staff, because you got to have that. First of all, you got to have a loyalty and their support, and you got to know how they tick, and they know how you tick, and usually there's some harmony there that you can work with.
Yeah.
But I was at a loss, and I had a lot to learn from those guys and find out where everything lay. So I got to Dallas, and it started out from there. I
Yeah.
inherited a great team. Jimmy and Jerry had put together a great team, and Jerry had something to do with this. Not old Jimmy, Jerry had something to do with that, and